Hey everyone, it's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. This video is a little bit of a diversion from my wax related content and my candle and all that fun stuff. I wanted to take a minute to film another little mental health video, and this one is one that's really touched home with me recently. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I wanted to do this video earlier in the month, but what I'm about to tell you, you'll see why you know, why this all makes sense. So, it's been a while since I've done a mental health video. I think it was around Christmas time, a little bit before the holidays. I haven't filmed a video in a couple of weeks, and there's a reason why. I've only told a couple of you in the community what's been happening with me, and it's been quite frankly very, very scary for me. So I'll backtrack a little bit and give you a little bit of my history. As a mental health patient, primarily my issue is anxiety. And sometimes people have anxiety so much they don't go to the doctor and they ignore things in their body. They don't listen to things. About 10 years ago, I was one of those people. Probably 4 or 5 months before I turned 30. I will be 40 next month in a few weeks. A couple of months, 3 or 4 months before I turned 30. So this was in 2014. I was tired all the time, and I would go to sleep and sleep at night, and then be up for an hour and a half, and then take a 2 or 3 hour nap. Especially on, I mean, definitely on the weekends. I've worked since I was 17 years old constantly, except when I was in college, But even then, I worked in the summer times and all that stuff. But I went to my doctor in February of the year I turned 30, and I had my labs done. Everything was great, fine. And then, for whatever reason, this was a couple of years after I met my husband. We were getting ready to go to a family reunion in Vegas, and we lived in the East at the time. And about a couple of weeks before we were going to Vegas, I started dropping weight without trying. And with me having some of the issues I had in my youth, PCOS is one of those things. It's a metabolic condition, very common in our country, especially. I just wasn't. I was dropping weight without trying, and I thought, man, this is new. And cancer was the furthest thing off from my mind, because I really wasn't thinking about cancer at 29 years old. And I worked at the time for a cardiologist, and I also, at the same time, I could not get enough water. I mean, I couldn't make it from my home to my job without having water or some sort of drink with me. I was peeing a full bladder about every 30 to 45 minutes. And looking back, I was definitely a textbook diabetic. However, the physician I worked for at the time, the cardiologist, he wasn't thinking about type 2, he wasn't thinking about type 1.5 or late onset diabetes in adults. He was thinking diabetes insipidus. Diabetes insipidus is a condition where your body just it can't hold on to water. You just drink and pee, drink and pee. So we went to Vegas. On the plane going to Vegas, I noticed my vision changed. Everything had a halo, kind of like my halo around me right now, the light. Everything had a halo. In all the casinos in Vegas, everything. I was not feeling good. So when we got to Vegas, I called my doctor. I made an appointment for the next week, and he wanted me to have labs and all that stuff done beforehand. To make a long story short, in Marty's family, there is a physician. He was at the trip, so I told my boyfriend, my husband now, but I told Marty, if something happens to me, please tell him, blah blah blah. At the time, I didn't know what was happening with me. So I went to my doctor, had my labs done actually a couple days before, and my doctor specifically called me that evening at home, and he said, Ashley, I really need you to come to your appointment tomorrow or the next day or something. Some of your labs are just not right. I need you to go and get a recheck done tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. Make a long story short, on June 12th, 2014, I was diagnosed with diabetes. My A1C was 11.4, which is severely critical. He has no idea how I wasn't sick other than just right immediately before. So I have been living my life 10 years with diabetes. In the meantime, I'd seen several endocrinologists. A year, 2 years after I was diagnosed, we moved here to Utah. So I had to establish myself with another endocrinologist, blah, blah, blah. And two of my endocrinologist, my former one here, and then my older one when I lived in Pennsylvania, both told me I had diabetes type 1.5, which is autoimmune diabetes. So I spent the greater part of almost 10 years believing I had type 1.5, which it doesn't really change the treatment plan. It's just harder to treat because your body is attacking the pancreas, just like any other autoimmune disease. So, excuse me, that has been part of my life. Not only has that made me completely change my look at food and my look at going to the doctor and taking your medicines and listening to yourself, it really, made me not take some things for granted. And I was fantastic the first 8 years of my diagnosis. In 2016, I was diagnosed with Graves' disease. Graves' disease is hyperthyroidism, but it's autoimmune hyperthyroidism. For whatever reason, my body attacked the thyroid gland and started releasing all of my TSH, which is your thyroid stimulating hormone, all at one time. And when you're born with typically enough thyroid hormone to survive the most part of your life. A lot of times, many people are on thyroid supplements for whatever reason. That gland is just, it wreaks havoc in some people. And I did not even have any symptoms of that. I went to a regular female gynecologist appointment and did regular labs on me. And 2 weeks later, I was having a radioactive ablation to kill my thyroid. So I am a diabetic and a thyroid patient. So I'm a person that goes to the doctor, takes their medications. But giving you that little bit of backstory with me. The last couple of years have been a challenge for a lot of us, not only because of the pandemic that kicked everybody and everything on its ass and, up and down, economy, job market, everything, stress, home lives, family lives, whatnot, work, all of that stuff. I always went to the doctor, always took my medications, but I kind of started ignoring things that I shouldn't have. Call it being stubborn like my parents, or call it me just thinking I don't have time for this right now. I'll just wait till later. I had my foot surgery on my plantar fasciitis in November of 2022. There's a reason why I'm telling you all of these things. My surgeon, who I actually worked for at my previous job, the best foot and ankle reconstructive surgeon I've ever met in my whole life. I started seeing him as a patient, and I ultimately, failed conservative treatment for my plantar fasciitis, which, if you're unfamiliar with what that is, we have connective tissue throughout our body called fascia. It kind of holds all of our tendons and ligaments and muscles in place. It's such a small, thin thing, but it's so strong. It's inflammation and thickening of the fascia that lines the bottom of the foot. It goes from the back of your Achilles tendon, where it inserts at the back of your heel, all the way up to the toes. That's fascia on the bottom of the foot. I work in orthopedics, so I'm kind of trying to explain, just imagine this as the foot. So I ultimately had surgery done. And he told my husband that my case was the worst case that he has seen in his entire surgical career. Usually when they go in, and I had it done arthroscopically. He didn't have to do it open. Open means they have to actually open it up and do things manually inside. Whereas arthroscopically, or through a scope, they make a small incision, insert the cameras, and they do all of their work with instruments that are actually inside the body. less downtime, easier recovery time, everything, most things can be done arthroscopically, and doctors try to do them arthroscopically just because of recovery time, infection rates, and all those things. It usually takes 2 to 3 passes of the scalpel inside to reduce the thickening of the fascia. It took him eight passes. Super severe. I was in so much pain. I felt like I was walking on a spear every step of my life for almost a year, but I was stubborn with it. I had injections in my foot, I took medication, and I was living in pain. Every day I was in pain. I ignored it. I put it off, and it got really, really bad. I wasn't listening to my body. So my doctor, Dr. Robert Fox, he is on YouTube. He owns Foot Scientific. It's an insert, a orthopedic insert in your shoe company, all sorts of things. He said, Ashley, your body's talking to you when it's giving you a pain here, an ache here, especially a chronic one. Listen to your body when it's talking to you. Don't ignore it. Don't be stubborn. So from that point on, after I had my surgery and my recovery, and I have thanked that man so many times for giving me my life back, basically. I love to cook and I love to bake in my kitchen. Most of you know that if you're Facebook friends with me. My dance parties. I love to dance and sing, and that's one of my happy place is my kitchen. And he gave me my life back to where I can walk without pain. I can jog. I can speed walk. It's my favorite thing, really. I can do all those things. I listen to my body. So if you guys watch my videos, you know I sit on the floor, which I am right now, and this is our spare bedroom, my wax palace, Walmart, whatever you want to call it. It's what Marty calls it sometimes. My feet fall asleep, especially my right leg. So when I filmed my first batch of L3 Customs, which was, I think, February, March, somewhere around there. I was sitting downstairs, actually. I was downstairs. My foot fell asleep and proceeded up to fall asleep to right below my knee where my calf muscle starts. And it didn't fully come back for 3 days. I could walk. It was painful at times. But I thought, that was strange. Usually, sometimes when you sit down on the floor, when we're sitting on our hips, we're compressing our sciatic nerve, which runs from your hip, all the way down to your foot. But usually when you change positions, that comes back. We all have had a limb fall asleep when we're sleeping or sitting in a weird position or on an airplane or something like that. And it proceeded to happen 3 or 4 more times. I've had a few nights where my insomnia has been really bad. My body just doesn't fall asleep. I was noticing tingling of my extremities, my feet, my legs, my hands. And, working in healthcare is sometimes fantastic and it's sometimes bad because you like to diagnose yourself. We're all guilty of that. Even not working in healthcare, just getting on Google and trying to diagnose yourself. It's not good for mental health, but we all do it, seems like. I thought, well, you know what? I have an autoimmune disease already. And once you are diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, your risk for more, 1, 2, 3, 4 more, it increases up. So I thought, well, maybe this is MS, multiple sclerosis. Maybe it's lupus. Lupus, they kind of all present kind of the same way. MS, there is no test to diagnose MS. MS is diagnosed by ruling out everything else it could possibly be. And the leg that was the worst was my surgical leg. My left leg, it was happening, but it wasn't as severe. So both of my legs are falling asleep. And I thought, well, this is weird. So I made an appointment. I do have some lumbar disc issues like a lot of women have, and I have cervical disc issues in my neck. I called and tried to get in with my doctor who treats that, and a month out. And I thought, well, I'm not really crazy about waiting a month. So I decided to visit my primary care doctor. Usually I see his PA because she's easier to get in with. But I decided to see the big guy this time. I decided to make an appointment with him. So I had to wait a couple weeks. And I made my appointment with the intention of going there and asking to be worked up for MS and lupus and other things. And he asked me, I got there. My husband went with me because, I was scared because you never know. My point with this is I listened to my body. I didn't ignore it. So he said, Ashley, he talked about autoimmune diseases, how sometimes they can get out of control, how they can take over their whole body. There's always fatigue and brain fog and all these things. So he ordered a big panel of labs on me. And this is where it gets a little scary. Most places, if they have a website, a patient portal, you can see your office visit notes, x-ray results, MRIs, lab work, all that stuff. So I logged on and I checked my labs, and my liver enzymes are high. And I thought, okay, when I was 15 or 16 or so, I had this happen in the past, and they told me, lose about 10 or 15 pounds, walk a little bit, exercise, and it'll go away. That's the only conversation I've ever had about my liver in my life. Even being a diabetic, never talked about the liver. So my liver enzymes are increased, and he sent me a message through the portal, and he said, Ashley, I would like you to go for a FibroScan, which is a scan to assess for the extent of liver disease. You have signs of a severe liver disease. And I thought, a severe liver disease. I drink wine and a little bit of alcohol throughout the year, but I'm not a chronic drinker. I've never done hard drugs. I can count on one hand how many times I've done marijuana, just be honest. I'm not that person. What we do in our youth isn't what we necessarily do in our adult life. I don't abuse medications. I take my medicines as prescribed. I'm not taking stuff off label. I never thought about my liver. So, I had my FibroScan done, and basically what it is, it's not an ultrasound of your liver, but you lie on your back with your right hand up, because your liver sits on the right hand side of you underneath your rib cage, and it spans all the way over to your side. It looks like a football, but it's kind of off. I think everybody knows what the liver looks like. I've never had pain in my liver. I've never had stomach pain. I've never had anything that would tell me, hey, what's happening in here? So I had my my FibroScan, and what it does is it's a machine that basically the technology has come a long way to where the FibroScan can kind of be a good indicator of what a liver biopsy would ultimately show under the microscope. So a lot of doctors trying to diagnose non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or alcoholic fatty liver disease, or some of the hepatitis, cirrhosis, all of those things that go along with the liver. That's what they were looking for. And it taps against the side of your body like a little boop, boop. And what comes back at that, you have ultrasound gel on just like a usual ultrasound, but how quickly your liver bounces back, if it flops, if it's kind of dull, that bounce back kind of measures what type of fibrosis, which is the hardening of your liver, and cirrhosis, which is scarring of your liver. Fibrosis comes before cirrhosis most of the time if it is not alcoholic liver disease. So, of course, I had that done the day before I saw my doctor back to really talk about my labs. And this is May 7th was the day that my life changed. The May 7th. I saw my results, suggestive of severe cirrhosis. Recommend upper endoscopy, recommend consultation with a hepatologist, which is a liver doctor. And I read that and I thought I'm dying. I'm 39 years old and my liver's going to kill me pretty soon. And I remember I saw those results and I was standing in my kitchen and my husband was home. He was home from work because I had it in the afternoon. He's home from work. And I said, Marty, I don't know how much time I have left, but cirrhosis is not reversible. And I don't know what I did to get it. And I cried in my kitchen for a good hour, just standing there thinking of everything I wanted to do in my life. I haven't had time to do it, and I'm gonna die and leave Poppy all alone. She's my baby. I don't have children, but she's my fur child, and I thought, how in the hell am I gonna tell my parents that their only child has liver cirrhosis? And I was scared so badly. And I thought, I'm not sick. I think of cirrhosis. I think of people who have ascites, which is fluid buildup in your stomach. I think of jaundice, which is the yellowing of your skin due to your body not processing your bilirubin, which is produced by your liver. And I know all of the clinical signs. And but I thought I was so scared to go to the doctor the next day. So we went May 8th. And the doctor, he came in and he had this look on his face. And he said, this isn't what we wanted to find out, Ashley. But I talked personally to the doctor that read the FibroScan, the gastroenterologist that did, and he really wants me to look for an underlying disease that's caused this much destruction of your liver, because you're not an alcoholic. You're not grossly obese. I mean, I'm overweight. I'm clinically obese per the BMI scale. You have diabetes, but you've taken care of your diabetes. You take your medications. You go to the doctors. Your A1C could be a little tighter controlled, but there's nothing that shows me that you should have end-stage cirrhosis, which is basically needing a liver transplant. And the reason why I feel like I had to do this video is because in that moment, May 7th and May 8th, my mental health was affected because I thought, man, my liver's going to take me out in life. That's what's going to kill me. Some people don't know ever what's going to take them out in life. Some people unfortunately know what's going to kill them. And I thought, I'm so young. I said, Marty, I want to go to an attorney. I want to get my will in place. I want to make plans. I don't want to wait. And my husband, he said, I'm here with you. I'm not going to leave you. I'm going to go through this with you. Everything we have to do, everywhere we have to go, I will be here with you. And I thought, man, I've worked so hard on myself to come over my challenges from the past and to work on myself to be a better person, a stronger person, a kinder, more helpful person, more than I already have been in my life. And I thought all of that, and it's just going to be wiped away from my liver. So my doctor said that he wants to look for multiple things that it could be underlying before they look at my diabetes as hurting my liver. So I had to go for more sets of blood work. I went for autoimmune, all of my autoimmune panels for MS, lupus, all those things were negative. I went for iron panel studies. Your liver houses your iron, metabolizes your iron, all those things. I went for that. He was looking for hemochromatosis, which is too much iron in your body. Looking for Wilson syndrome, which is a condition. I believe it's a condition either with iron or copper. I can't remember. Looking at autoimmune hepatitis, looking for active hepatitis, looking for something that would explain why I have end-stage cirrhosis. And one panel came back mildly positive for autoimmune hepatitis. Autoimmune hepatitis, there's two types, type 1 and type 2. Just like diabetes, there's type 1 and type 2. Autoimmune hepatitis type A, I believe A is, one of them destroys the bile gland, the bile ducts in the liver. I believe that's type B. And type A, I can't remember what exactly what type A entails, but one of them just basically you eventually have to have a liver transplant. There's no, I mean, you can live with cirrhosis for years, yes, sure, but sometimes, especially if you have the one that deteriorates the liver ducts, the bile ducts, I mean, in the liver, you have to have a liver transplant. So I saw that panel once again after I had those labs done. But the most important thing that my doctor wanted me to do, my huge homework assignment on May 8th, he said, Ashley, I need you to think sugar is poison. I need you to take everything that's added, everything that's yummy and good, everything that's carby, everything that our society is an epidemic in eating carbs. You need to take that out of your body right now because your liver is sick. Your pancreas is hanging on by a thread. They live right next to each other. You need to do this because you need to let that heal, and you need to, more importantly, prevent any more damage from happening. What I can do is control my diet. If I have an autoimmune disease, it was going to happen whether I wanted it to or not. So he gave me an assignment to be severely carb restricting, severely low carb, basically keto. While he said, I had all these lab panels, stuff had to be sent out, took a week or so to process different things, just trying to find out what the hell is happening to my liver. So at that moment, May 8th, at 3:30 in the afternoon, it started then. I no longer had a choice if I wanted to have spaghetti for dinner, if I wanted to have chicken for dinner, if I wanted to have ice cream, if I wanted to have a piece of bread. I no longer had a choice. And I'll tell you something. When you have a doctor look at you in the face and tell you the alternative is dying and the alternative is being chronically sick with debilitating fatigue and everything else that goes with it, it's very easy to make better eating habits. It's very easy to. And my A1C was controlled per my endocrinologist. And I looked at him. I cried the first 3 visits I saw him. I cried. I was petrified, scared. And he said, I know you're scared, but I'm going to do my best to find out an answer for you and to get you feeling better. He told my husband that. Marty went with me everywhere. And he said, right now it starts. Not tomorrow, not next Monday. You have to stop it now. So he said, I want to see you back in 2 weeks. So I had a hair appointment that evening, and I was kind of numb at that point. I didn't even say a word to my hair girl, Kaylee, who I've known for almost 9 years. And as you ladies know and gentlemen know, you talk about stuff to the person who does your hair and your nails and all that stuff. And I've been with her through her marriage, through her divorce, through everything, and she has with me. I didn't say a word because I just didn't have any answers. I told Marty, I do not want to tell my parents. I don't want to burden them with this. I don't want your family to know until I have an explanation why. So on the way home, I went to Walmart because I couldn't go anywhere else. I didn't feel like going to Kroger. I didn't feel like, definitely not going to Costco. And I went in and I raided the produce department. And I went in the back and I got butter and cream and everything you can have on a low carb diet. And I'm allowed to have berries as fruit. That was the one important thing I asked is I know I have to restrict my fruit because I'm a diabetic, but am I allowed to have anything because it's fruit season. It's going to come into summer pretty soon. And he said you can have berries, strawberries, raspberries, blackberries, blueberries. And I said, thank God for that. I bought strawberries and blackberries, blueberries, spinach, lettuce, tomatoes, squash, green beans, eggplant, you name it. You name it. And I love my vegetables, but the last couple of years, mental health wise, work wise, last year was hell at my old job. I wasn't making the best decisions. I was still taking my medications every day. I've been on Ozempic for 3 years. It controls my diabetes. That's a GLP-1 inhibitor that I do not take for weight loss. I take it to manage my diabetes. I take metformin, extended release. I've taken metformin for almost 10 years. And I take something called Jardiance, which helps eliminate sugar through your urine. I take 3 medications for diabetes. And I said at this point, I want to do everything I can. Everything I put in my body, I'm going to know what it is. I want to know where it comes from. I want to know what is it doing. I decided I had to take sweeteners out of my life, except for monk fruit and stevia. Those are the only 2 I'm allowed to eat per him. Splenda, also called sucralose, is not good. It used to be good, but now it's not good anymore. Sweet and low, equal, all of those are forbidden to me. I did tell him, though, I will have a tough time. I like Crystal Light every now and again, and I know that there's some bad sweeteners in there. And I said, but if I know I have to only drink water for the rest of my life, I'm going to get a little bored. Am I allowed to have some Crystal Light each week? And he said yes. And I said, I also, how about diet soda? I'm not a huge soda drinker. I'm a tea drinker and coffee. And he said, you can have occasional soda. So I, for the first week, didn't have any Crystal Light, didn't have soda. I drank unsweetened tea and water. And I told my husband I'm going to allow myself to have diet soda two times a week, 2 cans a week. And after that, no more. Crystal Light, the same, because I want to eliminate, if it's hurting my liver, those artificial sweeteners, I don't want it in my life right now. Trust me, having that in your face is very sobering. If the alternative is being immensely sick and dying, I'm not ready for that in my life. So I started my low carb journey and I haven't looked back. It's been 15 days. 15 days. So I saw my doctor on Wednesday this past week. I have a continuous glucose monitor here on my body here. This is something that you push up into your skin. It sits in the layer in between your muscle and the top part of your skin. And it continuously gives me my blood sugar reading. This has changed my life in terms of having to prick my finger and check my sugar 3 times a day. 10 years of that. At first, I said, Dr. Hammer, that's his name. I said, I checked into continuous glucose monitors. They're $300 a month. I don't know if I can swing that. And he said they're really more affordable now because pharmaceutical companies, insurance companies, etc., have just realized how immensely helpful they are with managing diabetes. His ultimate goal for me is to reverse my diabetes strictly due to diet and get me off my medications, because that's one less thing that could potentially be damaging my liver, the diabetes. And this is a primary care physician. This isn't even a diabetes doctor. This is not, he's a regular family medicine doctor. But I've never had a conversation like I have with him in terms of, Ashley, it is possible you can reverse your diabetes. I never had a conversation about that. I thought, okay, I have it the rest of my life. Now I have to take medicines. I've been on insulin in my life. I've been on Trulicity. I've been on Ozempic. I've been on. That's the only two injectables I've been on. I've been on a lot of things, and I took Ozempic when it first came out on the market, before the shit that's happening with it now, the shortage and all that stuff. I took it when it first came out, the year I got married. I got married in October of 2018. I started taking it that year before. And I lost a lot of weight because it suppresses your appetite. It starves you, basically. And it controls your A1C that way. But I was sick all the time. I vomited almost daily. It was terrible. I hated the medication, but my A1C was fantastic. And at the time, I was willing to accept that. And it wasn't a good time in my life. So a couple of months before my wedding, I told my doctor, I'm getting married and I don't want to be sick on my wedding day. I don't. What can I try? What else can I take? I love my A1C was the best it ever was at that time. I didn't want to give that up, but I also was tired of vomiting. So he moved me to Trulicity at that time. I started out with Ozempic. So moved to Trulicity, fixed the GI issues, blah, blah, blah. So I've been on an injectable since 2018. And Dr. Hammer, he said, your Ozempic actually is protecting your liver from fatty liver disease, which 3 out of 4 people have fatty liver disease. And especially when you are diagnosed with diabetes, your risk for fatty liver disease goes up like 70 to 80%. And I've never had a doctor ever tell me that. Hey, Ashley, you have diabetes now. You really got to watch your liver. You really have to, yes, we tell you to lose weight and eat healthy, but we didn't take the time to actually tell you what is it in the food that's hurting your liver. And it's not just for diabetics. Fatty liver is super common. Super common. A lot of people have it and don't even know it. Me. So he definitely told me, you have fatty liver disease. Fatty liver disease turns into cirrhosis. You've had this for years, Ashley. I don't know how many years. You've had it for years. But I'm also going to look for these other things to make sure it's not one of these things. But he thought it was fatty liver disease in his chair. So I told you about the grocery store. I have not cheated once. The worst things I put in my body is Diet Coke and Crystal Light. I haven't had a piece of bread. I haven't had a noodle. I haven't had rice. I haven't had things that I ate several times a week. And yes, I know exactly how to eat as a diabetic, but it isn't fun. But we take for granted you do something and you don't think it's ever going to catch up to you, and then one day it catches you and says, aha, I gotcha. That was me. So I saw my doctor on Wednesday, and he said, so what this monitor does here, I can pull it up on my phone at any minute. It updates every minute of the day. I can see my trends up and down, and how this has been a game changer for me is I can see if I eat something, how much does my sugar spike up, if it spikes up at all. I'm severely carb restricting myself. My biggest carbs I'm getting are from my Greek yogurt and from my berries and from a little bit of cheese products. Milk has carbs in it. That's why I choose cream, because cream doesn't have as much of the milk component in it. It's taken out in the process. And I have been eating berries every day. That's one thing I do allow myself, because not only am I getting that little bit of sweet, I'm getting the vitamins and nutrients that are in the berries. I have made so much low carb, vegetable, just delicious dishes. And my husband has told me many times, you're cooking the best you've ever cooked in our whole relationship. And I thought, man, that hurts me, because I've made some damn good food over the 13 years we've been together. That's one of the things I'm proudest of, is I get that from the ladies in my family and my bloodlines. I have a knack for cooking. I thought I was going to go to culinary school when I was younger. I love it. And he said it's not that. And I said, our taste buds have been dulled for years by having such a carb heavy diet in our country. And, wanting, all the fast food commercials on TV, watching sporting events or watching television. It's all yummy, yummy, this, go get this, and that burger looks so good, and let's go get McDonald's. Let's have this, let's have that. And it catches up to you. And don't get me wrong, it's not like we ate like that every single day. I cook good food. I love to cook. I buy good meats and vegetables and fruits but it just is what it is. So he looked at my monitor, and you can see your average, you can see your weekly average, you can see what your estimated A1C is. And he looked at it, he looked at me, he said, this is phenomenal, Ashley. This is phenomenal. In 2 weeks' time, he said, this absolutely tells me that you still have life in your pancreas. Your pancreas is healthy. It's just tired. It needs a break. You got to give it some break. And he said, your liver houses your sugar. We eat something, within 2 to 3 minutes, it's in the liver. It's that fast. It goes, it's so fast. And I learned all of this stuff because I went to a seminar on diabetes that my doctor actually hosts for free every month. And he has 3 success stories each month. And I told him, I want to be one of your success stories, Dr. Hammer. I want to be a person who can tell my story. 10 years as a diabetic and hopefully reversing it. I want to be that person. I do. So that visit, I almost made it the whole time without crying, because I thought he explained to me how one of my autoimmune panels is slightly positive, and he asked me, do you have any idea what that means? And I said, well, from my understanding is my body's trying to attack my liver, autoimmune hepatitis. It's trying to, but it's not full blown into the disease yet. And he said, that's exactly right. Your liver, your immune system is out of control right now, Ashley. Your immune system and the inflammation in your body is intense right now. So inflammation and your immune system kind of go hand in hand. My body has just been flooded with preservatives, with processed foods, with an imbalance of things, we'll say. And it's just snowballed over time. And I had no idea it was happening. And I'll tell you something, and this is, I sat down and I've spent 42 minutes talking about this, because you have to listen to your body. If I didn't choose to go to the doctor because my leg was falling asleep and I would have ignored it, I would have had no idea what was happening in my body. And I very well might have been sick. I very well might have vanished off of the face of the earth, social media wise. Y'all wonder what happened to me. I might not be the bright, shining person, I'm kidding, that I am. I listened to my body. And I know there are so many of us, as women especially, we take it all on our shoulders. We take our own problems. We take our spouse's or partner's problems. We take our family's problems. We take our kids' problems. We take our coworkers, our friends, our boss's problems sometimes. We all carry that. We are fixers by DNA. Mom, do this. Mom, my laundry. Mom, my book report. Mom, or husband needs food on the table, needs appointments made. You guys, some women do finances. Just there's so much. I don't need to explain it to you guys. You know what I'm talking about. Then you have family issues, maybe. You have parent issues, maybe. Friends, in-laws, everything. And we take a back seat because we need to take care of others before ourselves. And it's kind of like when you get on an airplane and they do the safety thing at the beginning that most people don't listen to. But the one thing they tell you is put your Put your oxygen on before you put it on the person next to you. Take care of you first. And that's my point with this, is you got to take care of yourself. You have to listen to your body, because our body does talk to us. And I will tell you, I am just 15 days, 15, 17, whatever days into this journey of the rest of my life. I will tell you, I did not know I felt bad until I felt like this. I felt like shit before. I was tired. I would just doze off randomly sometimes. I felt like, oh, I have brain fog. I can't remember this. It's like I had an imaginary wall in front of me that I couldn't break through. My mental reflexes were off. I mean, I pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed myself. I'm a hard worker. I'm dedicated. I have an engineer for a father. I had that ingrained in me. I don't give up. I go 115%. I've always been like that. I don't take time for myself to stop and breathe, but this time I did, because of my foot surgeon teaching me that. I was dancing last night. My husband went golfing last night, of course. That's where he is now. I was making dinner. Low-carb green chili chicken, by the way. I was dancing in my living room, and I thought, my God, I haven't danced like this in years. I'm exercising. I'm walking every evening for the most part. It's raining here, so I'm not walking tonight. I'm not tired. I don't need much sleep. I feel clear. I haven't felt this good in years. And I know that the changes that I've made in my life is giving me my life back, even though I didn't know I had my life. The little things we take for granted, like our liver, could be suffering. And don't get me wrong, if my body manifests into full-blown autoimmune hepatitis, I'll start the treatment for it. Most of the time it's steroids, sometimes it's not. I'll roll with the punches. But I know that the smallest thing, changing your diet, is so hard. I know it is. But I have to reduce the inflammation in my body. I have to give my liver and pancreas time to rest. I need my liver to let go of all the sugar and carbs it's been holding for years and just let it rest. I have to do that for myself. Listen to your body. Be conscious of what you're putting into your body, because it affects our mental health too. That's the biggest thing about this. I haven't felt as mentally empowered as I have in years, ladies. I haven't. I didn't know I felt like bad. I didn't know I felt like this until I didn't know I felt like bad. I didn't know that until it's, it's like you have a bucket that's under the faucet and it's overflowing and it's heavy. It's heavy. You can't almost pick it up because the water is heavy. You pour it out and you can throw it up over your head. It's easy. I didn't know I was carrying all of that junk until I'm starting to detox my system. And I'll tell you something. Dr. Hammer, he's so proud of me. He cut my medicines in half the other day. After 2 weeks. He said, I have no doubt that you will reverse your diabetes, Ashley, and you can stand the front of the seminar and say, I reversed my diabetes after 10 years. And I will be turning 40 years old next month, and wouldn't that be fantastic to be able to say that? It's a challenge to do it. It's not like, oh, I reversed it, I can go back to eating like crap again. Nope. That's not how it works. I will always identify as a diabetic. I can just put it in remission. So my mental health, I've had to reschedule a few therapy appointments because, I got to go in when my doctor wants me to, kind of a thing. So I told my therapist, and she said, you are in such a good place mentally, Ashley. you have such a great support system with your husband. And I do. Marty has been there for me the last few weeks. And when he told me, I'm not going to leave you no matter what. Because I told him, as a woman, I'm afraid of having cancer one day and having my husband leave me, because some men do that. And he won't. He isn't that type of person. But I haven't felt that strong of love from him the whole time I've known him. So, support system is so strong. It's so important. Listen to yourself. Take care of yourself. And I've said this before, it's not weak to say I need help. And it doesn't mean you're a failure if you need to go to therapy, if you need help. Just, I am here for any of you at any time. And I know I'm bad with commenting back on comments, and I know I'm behind with things. But I'm here. I hear you. I see you. I care for all of you. And as I'm getting older and I'm more connected to our planet and our universe more than anything, when the Northern Lights were here a few weeks ago all over the country, I was out running around our neighborhood at 1:30 in the morning taking all these pictures. And I said, our Creator is showing its face. I never felt that type of love from my universe as I had in that moment. And I thought, man, that happened after I found this out, and I was in the early days of that. And I thought, man, something's talking back to me. I can feel it. It was like a magnetism. And I wanted to take the time to do this little mental health video because I wanted to use my channel as a platform about being low carb and lazy keto, we'll say. Not dirty keto, but lazy keto. Some days are better than others. I keep my carbs under 40 grams a day, which is harder than it seems. Today was great. My husband and I got up. We went dishwasher shopping because my dishwasher has been dying since Thanksgiving. We found one we want, and we got to go back tomorrow and do it because I forgot to measure to get the specs from the inside. Then we went to Costco. We went to Target, actually. Then we went to Costco and ran into two of his golfing buddies there. And I got my weekly dose of vegetables and produce. And they both commented on how healthy our carts are. And Marty has told a couple of his buddies what's happening because my husband is doing this journey with me. He does not have diabetes. He does not need to restrict his carbs, but he's doing it with me. And he's so proud of me up to this point. He wanted me to share this on my channel because he thought, Ashley, even if one person listens to what you say and make an appointment with their doctor to get something that they've been ignoring checked out, you could change their life. And just like when I shared about my trichotillomania a couple of years ago, I remember a lot of you reached out to me after that and all the love I felt in your comments with that. So I just wanted to take a little sit down on this Saturday night and share with you what's been happening with me. And thank you for all the support and love over the last years of my channel and interacting with you guys on Facebook and the wax groups, and if we're friends on there, all those things. So listen to your body. It's talking to you, I promise. Have a good night, and I'll see you soon.